I never thought that hiring someone out of pity could end in tragedy, that the kindness we showed someone desperate would turn my home into a place of nightmares. The first night she was here, I should have known something was wrong, but I didn't. My baby was only 2 months old, and we trusted her completely. I was completely overwhelmed, juggling work, endless appointments, and caring for a 2-month-old baby I had brought into the world through surrogacy. I barely had a moment to breathe. Sleepless nights, constant feeding, diaper changes, and the endless worry of making sure my child was safe. It felt like my life was slipping through my fingers. I was a single mother, alone in the city, trying to balance everything, and the exhaustion was crushing me. That's when my cousin suggested someone they knew, a young woman from the countryside. She was a single mother herself, barely older than I was, with no formal experience caring for infants besides her own child. She was desperate, with no home, no steady work, and nowhere to turn. My cousin said we could offer her a roof over her head, a small income, and a chance to start fresh. We thought we were helping her, never imagining that our act of kindness would invite darkness into my home. She arrived timidly that first evening, wide, wary eyes, a nervous smile that never quite reached them, and a small worn bag slung over her shoulder. Her hands trembled slightly as she held my baby, a mother's instinct present but somehow off. She barely spoke, her voice soft and hesitant, and her gaze remained fixed on the floor as she moved through my apartment. There was something fragile about her, almost pitiful, a weight she carried that made me feel protective, sympathetic. I wanted to help her succeed, to give her a chance. I whispered to myself, "She seems honest. She seems harmless." And in that fleeting moment, I let my guard down completely. But that was my first mistake, because appearances can be deceiving. Some people hide shadows behind their kindness. Some fears only become visible too late. As she stepped further into my home, cradling my 2-month-old with trembling hands, I had no idea that this young single mother from the countryside was carrying a darkness that would consume my life and leave a scar on my heart forever. At first, everything seemed perfect. She was gentle with my baby, calm during the cries, and always attentive. Every morning she would feed, burp, and rock my 2-month-old with care. My friends and family commented on how lucky I was to have found someone so responsible. Even strangers in the building would say she looked like she genuinely loved the baby, and I felt a strange relief wash over me. Maybe, I thought, this arrangement was going to work out after all. But slowly, I began to notice the cracks beneath the surface. The first time I tried to correct her, she had dressed the baby in a too thick outfit on a warm day. I gently suggested, maybe something lighter would be better. Her reaction was sharp, a quick frown, her voice rising in a way that startled me. "I know what I'm doing," she snapped, almost hissing. My heart skipped a beat, but I told myself, it's just stress. She's adjusting. It's understandable. Another time I noticed she was skipping parts of the feeding schedule. I tried to remind her politely, and she glared at me, lips pressed tight, and muttered, "I've been doing this since morning. You don't need to tell me how." Her tone carried a strange edge, more than irritation, almost contemptuous. Yet I excused it. Teenagers, I repeated to myself, out of place in a new environment, frustrated, no harm intended. Over the next few weeks, these small incidents continued. When I asked her to clean the nursery after feeding, she would roll her eyes or snap under her breath. When I offered guidance, she sometimes talked back, barely hiding a snobbery that grated against me. But each time I convinced myself that it was normal teenage behavior, a young adult learning to navigate city life, trying to assert independence while in a new, unfamiliar setting. Despite these signs, she remained gentle with the baby, attentive in the quiet moments, almost eerily so. She would hum softly while rocking the infant, and the baby would calm immediately, as if enchanted. The contrast was unsettling, the tenderness with the child, and the sudden flashes of anger when I tried to guide her. It created a strange tension in the house that I didn't fully understand. A warning that, looking back now, I should have heeded. I told myself countless times, she's just a teenager, she's stressed, she means well. But deep down, a small knot of unease had begun to form in my chest. Something in her reactions felt off. And yet, I kept excusing it, trusting the kindness she showed to my baby would outweigh any missteps. I wanted to believe she was good. I needed to believe she was good. I had no idea how wrong I was. The small signs of her temper I could excuse. The eye rolls, the talking back, the sulking silence. But what happened next made it impossible to ignore. It happened on a day I wasn't even home. My cousin, the very one who had recommended her to me, decided to stop by and check on us. I was grateful. After all, she had vouched for this girl, and I thought maybe a familiar face from the countryside would comfort her, remind her she wasn't alone in this new city. I could never have predicted what would unfold in my absence. According to my cousin, it started small. The baby had been fussy, crying without stopping. My cousin gently suggested to the babysitter, "Maybe try holding the baby differently, this usually helps." Harmless advice, simple, well-meaning. But instead of listening, the babysitter's face hardened. She pulled the baby closer and snapped, "Don't tell me what to do. I know how to handle this." My cousin, shocked, tried to explain herself. But the girl's temper flared so quickly it was like striking a match. She shouted, her voice sharp, accusing my cousin of interfering, of looking down on her. Within seconds, words turned to shoves. And then, something unthinkable. The babysitter slapped her. Hard. The sound echoed through the room, my cousin stunned into silence as the baby wailed louder than ever. That was the scene I walked into when I came home earlier than expected. My cousin and the babysitter locked in a heated fight, shouting over the baby's cries. My heart stopped. I rushed forward, pried them apart, and held my cousin back as she tried to explain, her face red with anger. The babysitter stood there, chest heaving, eyes wild, still clutching my baby with trembling arms. I could hardly believe what I was seeing. The sweet, timid girl who had once seemed so grateful was now glaring, defiant, her body stiff like an animal cornered. My cousin shouted, "She slapped me for trying to help your baby." I looked at the babysitter, waiting for her to deny it, but she didn't. Instead, her face crumbled, and then something strange happened. Without me even asking, she dropped to her knees right there on the floor. She looked up at my cousin with wide, tear-filled eyes and whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I just lost control." Her voice shook, her hands pressed together in a begging gesture, trembling as if she feared what would happen next. I demanded that she apologize properly, and she did, kneeling there in front of my cousin, tears rolling down her cheeks, muttering over and over again, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." My cousin stared at me in disbelief, but I felt trapped. What could I do? Fire her on the spot? She had nowhere to go, and despite her outburst, my baby seemed strangely calm in her arms again. Against my cousin's protests, I let her stay. It was a decision I would come to regret, because what I saw as remorse was only the calm before the storm. The darkness inside her was only beginning to show itself. Months passed. Against my better judgment, I kept her in my home. My cousin never forgave me for it, but I told myself things had settled down. She was calmer now, more obedient. The baby seemed to grow, laugh, and play in her care. I told myself I was imagining the darkness I had seen that day. I wanted to believe everything was normal again. I wanted to believe my child was safe. But safety was only an illusion. One afternoon, after another long day at work, I walked into the house and called for my baby. Silence answered me. My heart skipped. Then I heard something. Water. The faint, steady ripple of water. I rushed toward the sound, and when I opened the back door, my world shattered. There, floating in the pool, was my baby, my tiny, helpless child, face down, motionless in the water. I screamed so loud the walls must have shaken. My cry echoed through the yard as I dropped everything and sprinted toward the pool. The babysitter came rushing out, her face pale, her hands shaking. But I didn't wait for answers. I dove in, the cold water swallowing me whole as I clawed my way to my child's small body. I pulled her out, laying her on the ground. Her skin was pale, her lips blue, her chest frighteningly still. I shook her, sobbing, screaming her name over and over, "Wake up, baby, please, please breathe." But she didn't move, not even a twitch. With trembling hands, I called 911, barely able to speak through the panic. By the time the ambulance screeched into the driveway, I had already lost hope. Paramedics took her from my arms, trying everything: chest compressions, oxygen, frantic shouts to one another. But nothing worked. I stood frozen, drenched in pool water and tears, praying to a God who didn't answer that day. And then the words fell like a hammer. "I'm sorry. She's gone." My world collapsed. My knees buckled beneath me, and I screamed until my throat tore. My baby, my sweet, innocent baby, taken from me before she ever had a chance to live. And as I held her tiny, lifeless hand, I couldn't help but look up at the babysitter, standing there silent, expression unreadable. And in that moment, I knew. This was no accident. The darkness I had ignored had finally claimed my child. The hours after my baby's death were a blur. I remember the flashing red and blue lights outside my home, the officers moving in and out, the neighbors whispering. I was in shock, but deep inside me, something didn't add up. A 2-month-old baby doesn't just slip into a pool unnoticed. A 2-month-old can't crawl, can't walk. And yet the babysitter, the girl I had trusted, stood there with tears in her eyes, insisting she had no idea how it happened. When 911 questioned her at first, she played the victim. She claimed she had been inside the house, doing chores, and didn't know the baby had gotten out. She swore she had found the baby in the pool, too late. Her words came out fast, rehearsed, shaky, but steady enough to sound believable. Some of the officers nodded, but not me. Something in her eyes told me she was lying. I told the officers directly, "Take her in, ask her again. My baby couldn't have gotten there alone. Someone put her in that pool." And with that, the police escorted her away for questioning. In the interrogation room, the babysitter sat hunched over, arms crossed, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. They asked her the same questions again and again. How did the baby get outside? How long had she been unsupervised? Did she hear anything? Each time, her answer was the same: flat, stubborn, practiced. "I don't know what happened. I was cleaning inside. Maybe she slipped out. I didn't hear anything." She thought she could hold on to the lie, but then the detective leaned forward, his voice cutting through the silence like a knife. "We already know there are cameras in that house. Once we pull the footage, we'll see exactly what happened. If you're lying, not only will we know, but your charges will double. You'll never see freedom again. So you'd better tell us the truth, right now." Her shoulders shook, her lips trembled. For the first time that night, she broke eye contact and began to cry. At first, it was a soft whimper, a weak denial. But then, like a dam breaking, the truth came out, raw, vile, and unforgivable. She wouldn't stop crying that day. The baby wouldn't stop. I was tired, I was angry. I just wanted silence. I tried rocking her. I tried feeding her. But nothing worked. She just kept disturbing me over and over. I lost control. I picked up my phone. I didn't think. I just hit her on the head with it. She went quiet. Too quiet. I panicked. I didn't mean to kill her. I didn't mean it. But when I saw she wasn't moving, I was so scared. I thought if I put her in the pool, everyone would think she drowned. No one would know what I'd done. Her words cut through me like knives. My baby, my innocent child, wasn't taken by fate or by some tragic accident. She was murdered. Murdered by the very girl I had taken into my home, given shelter, trusted with my heart. All because she was angry. All because she wanted peace. They led her away in handcuffs that night. But no punishment, no years behind bars, will ever bring back what she took from me. Sometimes I still hear it, the faint cry of my baby echoing through the silence. A reminder that monsters don't always come from the shadows. Sometimes we invite them in. We invite. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still, the silence of my home is deafening. Every corner, every shadow, every creak of the floor reminds me of what I lost. My baby, my sweet, innocent child. Gone because I trusted the wrong person. Because I thought kindness could erase desperation. Because I wanted to believe in good even when darkness was standing right in front of me. Life doesn't go back to normal after something like this. There are no comforting routines, no soft lullabies that heal the heart. I am left with memories, with pain that never fades, and with the haunting knowledge that evil can sometimes wear the most innocent face. I never imagined that someone I had welcomed into my home, someone I had helped, could commit such a terrible act. But it happened, and it's real. I tell my story now not to shock, but to warn, to remind others that sometimes kindness and trust must be tempered with caution, and that darkness doesn't always come from strangers. Sometimes it walks in through your own front door. If you felt chills, if your heart raced, if you couldn't stop thinking about this story, then know you're not alone. And if you want to hear more true stories of terror, more accounts of darkness that lurks behind seemingly ordinary faces, subscribe now. But remember, some stories stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Ella Yao.